How is everyone doing? Um, Jamal Collectibles here. In tonight's live stream, I am going to hopefully do the final video, live, whatever, that has to be primarily focused around Snype. But I did 2 Mondays ago. I made a video talking about the platform, talking about how I was going to use it. If you are unfamiliar with this channel, I assume this video will be going out to a lot of people that are not familiar with my channel. I am someone who has been full-time Pokemon since July of 2025. I pride myself in transparency, openness, honesty. A lot of the things that were going on with Snype seemingly did not involve those things. And having talked about the platform, having provided affiliate links to the platform in my original video that I've since deleted, obviously, they would go nowhere anymore. Snype is dead. But I felt obligated to apologize, and I will echo that apology in case anyone doesn't watch my short form videos but only watches my live streams. I am sorry if you registered for Snype and your data was breached, your data was shared to the open web to anyone that cared to access it. My plan for tonight's live stream, I'm going to lay out the facts as I know them, what happened. I am big on this channel of just talking about what my business is doing and why. I do not see myself as a drama channel. I do not see myself as a news channel even. This is hobby news that needs to be reported on. Shout out to all the channels that do that. And I don't say like drama channel in an inherently negative way. I think sometimes certain drama is inherently negative, but certain drama is like necessary and needed for the hobby. Bad actors root those things out of the hobby. So yeah, I'm just going to lay out the facts as they are. And this year in 2025, I consigned several six figures, several $100,000, probably $400,000 to $500,000 approximately. I consigned with Rick Probstein on eBay, and it was a good service. Overall, the amount that were paid was relatively in line with like what I thought. 7% unpaid rate is like, I've sold on eBay for over 20 years. Over 20 years I've sold on eBay, and auctions go unpaid. I was not, nor were any agents of myself, bidding on my own items, but like people just bid, their kid bid, their dog bid, whatever it may be, and they cancel auctions. It's just inherent to the process. It's unfortunate, it sucks, but it is what it is. So my year plus of selling through Probstein on eBay went really well. He netted 95% plus on sales, and for items above 1,000, which was primarily what I sent. In the Pokemon boom that we're in now, there's not many items, sealed booster cases of Pokemon, that are sub $1,000. So, context of like, this dude that sold $930 million worth of cards and raw cards and sealed boxes and slabs and all that stuff over the past decades on eBay. I'm like, this guy's going to try his own thing, and he's going to net out 97%. And there were some novel things intended to be included on Snype. There was, instead of having to use Gixin or a third-party sniping service, there was a built-in Snype feature. And there was the regular proxy bid feature, theoretically, that eBay has. So it was this novel thing being created by somebody who's been in the hobby, in the business, in the space, whatever you want to call it, for decades. And I was going to follow along. I was going to follow along and try it out. I was going to be a guinea pig, and it went very poorly. So mid-October, probably 6 weeks ago, I think October, early mid-October, was his last auction block. And I had some items that went unpaid. So inherently, selling with him all year long, there were some amount of items that just went unpaid, and they were going to transition over to Snype. And on top of that, I wanted to try the, shout out to Jack William, thank you for subscribing. But I wanted to try the, Joseph subscribed. I don't know if I'm going to read all those off, but I wanted to try it out, so I sent some additional packages, and I had somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000 worth of items with Snype. The same way that in my description, you will find an eBay affiliate link to my store. I sell Pokemon singles on there. I sell Metazoo singles on there. I do eBay live streams. I do Fanatics live streams. There are sign-up links in my description for Fanatics. The same way that I do those sign-ups and those affiliate links to benefit you if you were to buy anything. I was going to do those for Snype, and then I did do those for Snype. Honestly, this is something that I apologize for. This is something I'm sorry for. It was a blind spot for me. It was not even considered by me that this website, created by who I, outside looking in, deemed to be someone pretty deep in the hobby, the business of the hobby, I feel like it was a reasonable presumption. I wouldn't even call it an assumption, which in hindsight, I made an ass of myself. But I would call it a presumption. Hey, this guy has a lot of money. This guy sold $1 billion worth of cards. I presumed that he would build someone, he would pay someone to build a website that is functional, to build a website that would follow governmental regulations around data security and all that stuff. And I, admittedly, am not tech illiterate, but when it comes to that type of stuff, that type of deep level stuff, I'm quite tech illiterate. We'll talk about the E4 post later. We'll talk about some of the endpoints that were exposed in the databases and I don't know what all that means. So like, I pushed responsibility off on, there's somebody with a lot of money paying the right people to do this. And that was a bad assumption, presumption, assumption, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, Snype happened. I made a video talking about it. It went live and it was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. And a lot of things happened where the site was going down. Site was going down. Auctions were supposed to be ending Monday night and the site was going down. And then, so shout out to Blyetzard on E4. I will quickly show, just for anyone unaware, I'm going to post this in the video. And I will try to pin it. I am semi-tech illiterate, as I said. Okay, I did pin it. So the primary source, E4, where all this data was exposed, the data breach, linking everything together. It's important that people should go and review this themselves and figure out what it all means, to some extent, having like some primary exposure to what the alleged actions were. But anyways, oh, every time I forget to turn that off, it does it. But anyways, a lot of accounts linked to each other, a lot of accounts with the names of people that have done shady dealings in the past in the hobby, a lot of accounts linked to Rick, and it just doesn't look good. And the site goes down, auctions start ending. I was being charged for items while the site was down. I was charged over $20,000. I was, within 24 hours, all the charges were reversed. I was credited back. Some of them were reversed and dropped off my credit card. Some stayed on my statement, but they were credited and they were refunded. So, yeah, I'm just trying to like lay out the timeline. I'll talk about the implications. I'll talk about like some commentary around it. And then, as I always do, if you're unfamiliar with this channel, I will be live until I'm done answering questions. So however long we go, however many questions we have, I will try to get through all of them, as long as I don't get so far behind that YouTube drops them off and whatever. But yeah, anyways, continuing on. Snype was an utter complete failure. Snype did objectively, again, I will do my best tonight to point out when I'm making an objective statement of fact, and I will try to, I try to not speculate at all, but I feel like tonight's live stream, there might be some speculation that is asked of me and things like that. So I'm going to try to just, this is my business, this is what I'm doing, this is what I did and why. I pursued Snype because it's like, hey, you know, and I told Rick this. I had a Zoom with Rick. I don't go way back with Rick. I'm not like tight friends with Rick, but I reached out and I'm like, I'm interested in this new platform. I've sold nearly $500,000 with you. Let me hear about Snype in advance of when most people heard about Snype. And yeah, a few weeks back, I talked about it in former live streams. I had a Zoom with Rick, and the site looked a little janky. The site very much looked as if it was in beta. But look at like Hills Wholesale Gaming. That website looks like it's like built in it was built in 90s, and it still looks like it's from the 90s. So it's like again, not a tech literate guy, all that stuff. It felt reasonable to me. Some people are saying, "Oh, it's so obvious. The site looked terrible. It's obvious everyone was going to lose their data. It was obvious maybe, but like, why weren't you making a video beforehand saying like, hey guys, the endpoints are exposed, the tech thing, the other tech thing. I can see like if someone made that video, especially if it was someone that like I knew and that was being like, if those questions were being made in the week lead up to like the auctions ending, I like to think if they were put in front of my face, I would have dug into them a little bit. But and that's not me putting blame entirely on these people. But I hate the Monday morning quarterbacking. the obvious this, the obvious that. If you followed my channel, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, continuing on. So yeah, the auctions go horribly. The site gets taken down. Per the E4 post, it is not just like per the E4 post, these things were open for a long time. Like the site had a splash page that said, hey, we're experiencing technical difficulties, we'll be back shortly. And for several hours still, names, addresses, emails, phone numbers, birthdays, payment method data, Stripe objects, eBay info, and bid histories, these were all exposed for several hours, maybe an entire day. I forget the exact time frame, but so many auctions involved. $1.2 million, $8 in bids were attributed to highly concentrated accounts with troubling looking names. So that's where it's alleged. That's where, and let me loop back in. So continuing down the timeline, this Monday, yesterday morning, I had a phone call with Rick, and I said, hey, Rick, troubling things are being talked about right now. There's a troubling post on E4's website. And if you watch my video Monday, this is redundant, but like I want to put everything in one place so that the full story is told in one live stream, one video. And I said, that's concerning. Can you speak on any of those topics? And he basically said, yes, data was leaked, addresses, emails, birthdays. He was verifying that one claim, which this is an interesting point. Let me pause here for a second and touch on that. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not like the ideal guy to be talking about this stuff. But there are consumer protection laws in the United States. And there are, I think, more firm, better protecting the consumer laws. GDPR is like one of the acronyms for one of the international ones, I believe. But there are consumer protection laws that basically say, like, hey, if you expose a bunch of your consumers' personal data, you have to tell them. I think the earliest time frame in the United States is 30 days, including where I live in New York. Like back in 2017, Equifax data breach, social security numbers, birthdays, home addresses, literally everything was exposed back then to 100 million plus people. So it's like on a scale of Equifax to like Snype is nothing compared to Equifax, but like still very concerning, very serious. And as far as I understand, not being a lawyer, this is my interpretation. This is subjective opinion that I think he has a legal obligation to report this. So the clock is ticking on that. I will be interested to see if and when Snype notifies. I don't think it would be a public thing. Maybe it would be though. Maybe it would be a private thing sent to. I mean, he can just get the email list from the dark web, right? Because it's all there anyways. He can just email everyone on the email list that the dark web has because it got pulled out of Snype. So that was a thing. The other thing, I said, hey, Rick, I didn't really pull any punches. I wasn't trying to like lob up softballs to him. I said, hey, Rick, are you aware of this website, Elite Forum? And he said, yes. And are you aware of the post, the allegations, all that stuff? And he said, yes. And he gave me this story about like test bids. None of the sales actually completed. We canceled everything. We refunded everyone. So like shilling didn't actually happen because no auctions happened. And we were doing testing because the website was coming down anyways. And very, in my opinion, my subjective opinion, all that stuff. I don't fully buy it or anything. One bit of information that I'm seeing like pushed around right now, I am following up on this saga because I'm like fairly entwined in it. And I'm affected by it because my information was included on Snype. But terms of service, supposedly the terms of service allowed Snype as a platform to bid on things. And this is an interesting one to talk on because one, if the terms of service existed to where they were allowed to buy things themselves as the platform, one, I don't know the legality of that. I'm not a lawyer. That might be legal and that might be fine. And if it is, show us the terms of service page. I mean, they deleted the website, they took down the website, but presumably they would still have the assets of the website. They would still have the Snype logos. They would have the terms of service. They would have the end user license agreement, the EULA, right? I signed up for Snype and frankly, I don't remember what I agreed to, no one, there's kind of a meme that like nobody reads all the fine print, all that stuff. You always should, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. if the terms of service allowed them to bid on their own auctions. But one question I will pose, I will pose this to the ethos and expect no answer. If that was a thing, why wasn't that the answer on the phone yesterday morning? Why was it something about test bids, this, that, and the other thing? And why wasn't it, hey, we were actually, as a platform, we were bidding on our own items because it was in our terms of service that we could, and I was actually providing liquidity, providing financial guarantees to my sellers, to my consigners. Honestly, thinking hindsight 2020, Monday morning quarterbacking, that would have been a brilliant marketing plan. So go back into Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles a month ago, 2 months ago, when I heard about the divorce, eBay, Snype, all that stuff. If Rick had promoted his platform as like, hey guys, I'm hella rich, I'm super loaded, I will guaranteed backstop your auctions to 85% of current market. If Rick told me, hey Dan, you sold $400,000 with me on eBay, where you were subject to like the market, you were subject to the auctions, and you get what you get, and that's what it is. You get the percentage of that. On this new platform called Snype, I'm going to embed it in the terms of service that we as a platform will inject liquidity into our marketplace, and we will buy and own your items if they go for low numbers. Like, we will guarantee you a percentage of market. That would have been a marketing thing that I would have screamed from the rooftops. It's like, I highly question if that was ever a thing in the terms of service, because if it was, one, I think it would be legal, and two, I would have seen it as the biggest pro of the service. It's like, I know there's the whole history of like Shilstein, and I understand now as much as ever why that's a thing. But like, some people just say like, oh, everything on Probstein goes for 110% of market, and it doesn't make sense. I promise you, not everything on Probstein goes for 110% of market. I promise you that, obviously not my own items, but I have been a buyer of some items on Probstein over the years. I am a streamer. I'm a live streamer. I run a live stream operation. I buy loose packs. I was never sending loose packs to Probstein. Towards the very end, I had way too much Scarlet and Violet base. There was a couple 360 pack lots that I sent, but I bought some. I bought some 360 pack lots of like Silver Tempest or Brilliant Stars or whatever it may be, and I was buying them below my buy list pricing. So every Monday I do this buy list to buy packs from the open market and feed the live streams. There are times where I won auctions for less than my buy list price, and my buy list price is normally around 80% of market. So like, that whole rhetoric around like everything on Probstein was always shilled 100%, 110% of market, and most of it weren't real, and they weren't. That's not true, because like, I won some, and then sometimes on the selling side, I had some items get kind of wrecked. I honestly didn't follow it that closely. I think generally it did pretty well. I think generally eBay just gets pretty good on auctions, especially in this market. But anyways, and Donnie Slabs says, terms of service says crime is legal. I don't think that's inherently illegal. I don't think the platform doing this new model where they offer to buy at some percentage of market, kind of like buoy an auction to a certain number, I don't think that would be inherently illegal. I know that there's some auction houses that actually allow you to buy your own item back as long as you pay the buyer's premium, as long as they get their cut, essentially. And there's interesting conversations that could be had later tonight in this live stream. I'm going to try to finish up the whole Snype thing, and then we'll go wherever we go. As always, I'm going to answer every question. Once I'm done ranting, I will scroll up to the top, and I will go through all the questions. So leave them in the chat. I will get to them when I get to them. Please leave big question marks at the front, question all in caps, or a stop sign emoji or something. Leave something so that I can find your question quicker, because I will be scrolling through a lot of comments when I'm done ranting. Continuing on though. So all that said, there are some novel new updates that I can provide that I did not have in time for my video on Monday. And I have seen, I guess shout out to all the sports card channels that reached out. I saw myself in a lot of content yesterday and today, which was really weird. I had a lot of people reach out, some positively, some negatively, over everything that's gone on. But I saw a couple of videos. I know Rattle made a video today. I'm sure it'll make the rounds. I'm sure more videos will be made. But and I still have to get to the ultimate end story of like what's going on today and what I'm doing moving ahead. But continuing on, just to provide an update that I have not yet provided. Other people have provided it for me, basically. But I've been posting and I've been following closely the E4 thread that I linked and I've pinned in the chat. Everyone should go check out the primary information. But I'm gonna go back here and so I'm gonna scroll back up to one of my last comments. One of my last comments was a new novel bit of information. Blightzard is, here we go. So this point was made in the OP. And just for anyone who didn't check out the primary information, one, you absolutely should. But two, if you won't, I will elaborate some on what the OP said. So criticals pay method informations for seller complete. The OP, I don't know exactly what their native tongue is, what their primary language is, but it's definitely not English. There's definitely a little bit of language barrier going on. But in that OP, that's a pretty lofty thing what it ended up meaning when I was able to decipher it. So definitely a language barrier, and I think what was meant and what was told to me in DMs is as follows. So we confirm it was exposed for all users. Card or its checking, card brand, card expiration month, card expiration year, card last four, checking full number, routing full number. So one thing that Rick told me on the phone, he said no payment information was disclosed. He said no payment information was disclosed. Now, this is one that I'm like back and forth on because by definition, this is all information regarding your payment method. Maybe he was maybe what he meant was no critical usable payment information was exposed. As far as I understand, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an I'm not like an expert in banking and how it all works. But as far as I understand, the little bit of research that I did, if you have someone's brand of their card and their expiration month and their expiration year and the last four, you don't have their first 12 numbers. You cannot complete a transaction. Can you do certain things with that? Can that help you in your portfolio of information to try and socially engineer someone? Absolutely. The more information someone has on you, the worse it is for you. But as far as I understand, they have some payment information, but they don't have enough to make actual charges to your accounts. And if you're in the US like I am, having someone's checking number, their account number, and their routing number, it sounds scary. And ideally, they wouldn't have it. But anytime you write a check to someone, you give them your account number and your routing number. And any of my consigners that I pay with ACH, any of the people that I have pay me in ACH, they all have my checking and account number. It's something that you can give out. So without authentication, you cannot initiate ACH payments with just checking in account numbers. So or account and routing numbers. So it's like, it's not good that they have it. I would define it as payment information because it is information about your payment methods that you have in your account, but it is not critical or lengthy enough information for them to go and actually make charges. So it's like, technically speaking, maybe Rick is correct in that full usable payment information was not exposed, but I hate the technicality that I think of the Futurama meme. Technically correct, the best kind of correct. That is the worst kind of correct. If we are playing games with semantics, with wording, I don't like that. I don't like that my data was exposed. I don't like, and one thing that I'll say too, like E4, shout out to the OP, at least so far. Maybe that shout out to him will age poorly. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the OP is a nefarious actor. It doesn't sound like the OP is going to try to use the information for anything bad. It sounds like the OP, and this is me speculating, this is my opinion. I don't know anything about the OP. One thing, well, I'll tell you what I do know and what I'm speculating. So that's all speculation. What I objectively know is in DMs, I DM'd Blightzard, and they provided me, so all this information, they provided me my full name. There was asterisks. So They provided me enough about my full name with anonymized with asterisk that I could tell. And the way that I fill out when I sign up for a website as a business, usually I put my name as Catch 'em All Collectibles. So I could tell with asterisk, I could tell that it was Catch 'em All Collectibles. I could tell the first and third of my 4 last numbers. I could tell that it was my real phone number. I could tell that it was catchemallcollectibles@gmail.com. I could tell that it was the fake birthday that I give to websites. I could tell that it was my P.O. box that shows up on all my consignment things, all my website. It's like yeah, down there. That's my vault address for Fanatics. But anyways, I could tell that my address is the actual one that I signed up on. So Blindzard, to me, objectively confirmed that data was breached and he had my data. Further, he went on, industry references. If you use someone as an industry reference, even if they didn't sign up for the site themselves, references, you had to give a name, a phone number, and an email address. Those were included as well. And then scrolling down, as I said in my post that I showed earlier, this is where I'll give props to Blindzard. Because, like, for all Blindzard knows, how does he know that Gotta Catch 'em All on E4 is actually Catch 'em All Collectibles? Like, they're different names, right? Same logo, but, like, different names. For all they know, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but for all they know, I could be someone social engineering trying to, like, hack into Catch 'em All Collectibles, right? I could be trying to, like, bait some information from him. So shout out to Blindzard. When I asked, like, hey, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that, like, I want to talk about it in a video. I want to be as sure as I possibly can be. Blindzard confirmed for me my card brand. I know there's not many card brands. What is there? There's MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover. There's only a handful, right? But Blindzard gave me my card brand that I used on Snype, and they refused to give me the expiration month. They refused to give me the expiration year. They refused to give me the last 4 because they said, you have no need to. We prove that we have your information because we gave you the card brand, because we gave you your email, because we gave you all this stuff. So props to them for, like, we have sensitive information. We will give enough of it to prove that, like, we have it to anyone that's in doubt. But they said, and they've been saying this all along, they are going to destroy the information when and after they turn it over to the FBI. Like, they seem to have, I don't know if they have something out against Probstein himself. I don't know if they have something out against whatever it is, but they seem very intent on this being taken to the fullest extent of the law. They want to share this with the FBI, all that stuff, which it could end up there. If the allegations in the OP are true, and all these accounts and the terms of service, whatever, whatever the case may be, it feels like this could be FBI, like, territory. But one thing I'll say, to bring this back to the hobby, I am Catch 'em All Collectibles. I'm a Pokemon seller dealer in the cardboard space. One thing I say about grading card companies all the time, consistently inconsistent. One thing I'll say about, like, PSA 9s and PSA 10s, like here's a PSA 9 and here's a PSA 10. One joke that I'll make is, like, when someone asks me how clean is the 10, I'll say I've seen better 9s, consistently inconsistent. There are some PSA 10s that are in worse condition than some PSA 9s. If someone asks me how strong is this PSA 9, sometimes I'll say I've seen better 8s, I've seen worse 10s. So one thing I'll say about alleged, all this, that, whatever happens, I think there are people in jail for doing less than what the OP of the E4 post alleged. And I think there are people that did way more, way worse things that are not in jail. So it's like, will this end up with somebody going to jail? I have no effing clue. I don't know if the allegations are true. But, like, this is one thing I always do. I bring it home to, like, what happens now? What does it mean? What do I do with this as a business? What do you do with this as a consumer? I'm very much like subjectivity, theorizing about what's going to happen. It's all fun. It's all interesting, right? I'm sure we're going to do that later tonight. But, like, as a business, what am I doing today? Probstein has some of my items. All this said and done, I don't have it open. Let me get it opened. All this said and done, all these allegations in the air, Snype crashed and burned, failed spectacularly. What actually happened now? What's actually happening today? I have $30,000 to $50,000 still in New Jersey at Probstein's operation. He is actively listing things back on eBay. So what happened? To bring all this to a close in the coming 10 minutes probably, and then I'll answer questions. Probstein is actively listing things on eBay. So one thing that I'm doing, I'm not sending anything new. I as of right now, unless answers come out that are much more satisfactory about all the alleged things, all the different things that went on, I'm not sending anything new to Probstein. Shout out to DC Sports. Shout out to all the other consigning operations that offer very high competitive rates. I'm going to consign with them for right now. eBay, did they do some kind of an investigation? Did the dollar just win in the end? They plugged their ears and they closed their eyes. They pretended like the whole Snype thing didn't happen. eBay has 11,500 employees. I'm sure that 11,490 of them know nothing about what happened. But like the ones that matter, the ones that would have the ability to bring Probstein back onto eBay, some amount of them saw the E4 post. Some amount of them see the questions. Some amount of them know about the data breach. And it's a little bit concerning to me that eBay had them back on so quickly. But like, the dollar wins. The dollar wins at the end of the day. And I actually had some people ask me in my comments, Dan, you say that, and I did, in my video Monday, I'm not going to play it because I'm playing music right now, and if I play it, it'll come through. But let me mute it and then play it a little bit, just so we can read the text together. So the most likely outcome, in my opinion, at this point, is that I think the most likely outcome, oh, this is me ranting and rambling. Most likely outcome is that the dollar wins. The dollar wins and eBay has him back on. I think he crosses $1 billion in sales. And I think this is just going to be forgotten about. What did I put in the title? I put, see, nobody cares. The Jurassic Park meme, see? It's like, Probstein shilling on Snype. Snype lost all our data. And then it's like, all this stuff. See? Nobody cares. I care. Some people care, but like, most people don't care, won't care. It doesn't feel amazing. It is what it is. Many things will probably not be answered, but I'm not going to send anything new to Rick Probstein. And some people will say, Dan, it's obvious, like, this has gone on forever. Like, it's significantly more obvious that something was going on than it ever was in the prior decades and everything. But yeah, this is where we're at. I think there's, oh yeah, in hindsight too. One other thing that, like, okay, if the terms of service showed that the platform could bid on their own thing, it's like, why not just show that? Why would that not have been part of the marketing? But like, in hindsight, it's very easy to say, why would you not spend a lot of money on very good experts to build your website? And why would you not spend a bunch of money? I think this is something companies actually do. I think a lot of like cybersecurity companies, like Google has on its payroll some amount of people that are paid to try to like hack Google. Like, hey, we just made this new product. We just made this new item. Like, Google Drive exists. Try to crack Google Drive and make sure we don't have any big vulnerabilities. Presumably that didn't happen with Probstein. Shout out to Shining Cards and Collectibles. Appreciate the 10 gifted. But yeah, it's easy to say in hindsight, but it's crazy. It's crazy that like more wasn't done to ensure that this site was functional. It sounds like a fairly junior developer, web developer, security guy could have found the issues with this site, and somehow there was not one consultant or on the payroll or anything along the way. But yeah, pen testing, and anyone making a product online should do it. It's crazy that that wasn't a thing. And one thing that I feel like I should say too, because it's like all this data security, all these things. The way that I handle my data with consigners is that inside of my Chase account, which has a unique password, I use unique passwords on everything. I use two-factor authentication, and I don't keep ACH records. I don't keep any of that information within someone's consignor sheets, but I keep consignor sheets in Google Drive that I can only access, or you can only access, while logged into our Google accounts. So my consignment information that I keep with my consigners, with my clients, it's as secure as Google is. It's as secure as Chase is. I'm not a super tech literate guy, but I'm literate enough, and I did this in advance. I talked to some people. I consulted with people that were smarter than me about how should I manage, how should I maintain these people's names, their addresses, the amount that I've paid out through their accounts. And that's without even keeping ACH details inside of that document. ACH details are saved inside of my Chase account, which is as secure as Chase's, which JP Morgan Chase, it's like, please, Jamie Dimon, I hope you paid the proper tech people to keep your website safe. But anyways, let me look through my notes really quickly, make sure there's nothing else that I have to cover there. But yeah, oh yeah, one last thing. So I do have $30,000 to $50,000 worth of items. I am not going to affiliate link to Probstein's items. I am not going to I never hardly bid. I barely bid on eBay. I usually buy through my buy list. I usually buy through Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff. So I haven't really bought through him much, though I did in the past time, as I mentioned. But I'm just not going to engage much in the future. And this is one thing too. Maybe we'll talk about this more in the later in the video, later in the live stream. But anyways, I did not go so far as to say, like, I demand that my items come back so I can send them to DC Sports. I demand that my items come back so I can send them with sealed Chase consignments. It would be cumbersome. And some people will say, like, Dan, you should go above and beyond to make sure that you don't give them another penny, to make sure you don't support. At some point, it's like, eBay is saying everything that's happened is fine. Am I going to be held to a higher standard than eBay? Maybe, and maybe I should be. But, like, it would cost me weeks of my time around the holidays. It would cost me hundreds of dollars at minimum in shipping. Plus, I think the market's kind of headed down, so it's like it's going to cost me more in market moving down. I deem that it's not worth me losing potentially thousands of dollars trying to get my items back to send them somewhere else. So I think percentage-wise, I sold $500,000 worth of stuff for them throughout the year. It's less than 10% of what I sold over the whole year. So I think it's a small enough amount of money that it's just like, I intended to have them sold. Some of them would have been sold on eBay if they were paid the first time. I'm going to leave it be, close out my relationship, and then that'll be it. That'll be it. It'll be DC Sports. It'll be whoever else moving ahead. But yeah, that's, I think, everything. I think that is everything. I ranted for a good 40 minutes before I get into the questions. So I'm going to scroll up all the way to the top. I don't think I lost anything. I'm going to scroll all the way to the top, and I'm going to answer every question. So any questions in chat, I will try to look at the live chat. I will try to look at the highlight chat that I use. I will try to cover everything. But if I miss your question, ask it again. But know that I have a 40-minute backlog, and it will take me a while to get to your question. Let me take this one from Brad. Shout out to Brad. I saw him at New Jersey Collecticon this weekend. Had a good time. I bet Dan reenacted this speech like 4 times in the mirror before the stream started. There were exactly zero mirror reenactments, but this is one of the most well-noted. I do have a note sheet that I keep in Google Documents. This is one of the most well-annotated live streams that I've ever gone into. And yeah, honestly, I did all the notes multiple times, and I made sure they were good to go. I barely looked at the notes while I was ranting. But I did kind of practice it as I was making the notes. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not good. Dio's card says no. I don't know what that's about, but probably just the whole scenario. It's a very good reaction to everything that's going on. Boogie Phenom says you absolutely called it. I saw it coming too, but thought it would be a few weeks at least before he returns. The dollar wins. The dollar wins. I mean, I care, and I would never buy a Probstein auction. Honestly, shocked eBay took him back since it's very likely he'll be under investigation. That's very interesting. And honestly, when I made the title for this stream, like, I care. When I said, see, nobody cares, I was memeing. I think people know. Let me pull it up quick. I am memeing on the GIF, the Jurassic Park scene. Very dangerous to show Google image results, probably. But yeah, let me pop over here quick. This one. I am memeing on this. Like, I actually do care. Many people actually do care. But like the hobby, the market as a whole, generally doesn't care. Generally will forget. The amount of like massive, multi-million, multi-$100 million the memorabilia scandals, fake autographs, fake Panini products, fake everything. The fake prototypes back in January, all these scandals that just go in a loop. And by the 30-day window for Snype to declare to everyone that their data was breached, people will just generally have forgotten probably. It'll be 6 news cycles away and people will just forgotten. This whole deal is quite the S show. This is quite the S show indeed. He brings in money. Money weighs more than morals, unfortunately. We are live, LYVE. There has been a bunch of nice replace the I with a Y puns being made. Shout out to DC Sports 87, where I'm sending my future consignments. And I say everything like cautiously now, which is probably reasonable. Like I have no negative information towards DC Sports 87, but like it's a little scary to say like, hey guys, and know that like I talk about what I do in my business. I'm not necessarily giving a full like, oh hey, go do everything that I do. I say the opposite. I say don't copy everything I do. So anything I'm doing that I'm talking about doing, if you get the idea that you want to do it, Snype included, that's already done and over with, and I apologized. But anything that I'm talking about doing that you're thinking about copying, do your own due diligence. I hope it's not the case, but like DC Sports or whoever people go to next, hopefully they're not going to have any kind of an issue. But I don't know. I don't know these people personally. I don't know enough to like financially guarantee anything that people dive into. I don't know what FP Live eBay auctions is, but money talks. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if and when there's an actual FBI investigation, will they open up? Like FBI could go to certain companies and compel them. Like here's a warrant for all of Probstein's historical information, his bid information. But like eBay keeps under lock and key bidder information, but the FBI could get the key to that lock. And will that actually happen? Will there be something? Again, PSA 9, PSA 10, I've seen better 9s, I've seen worse 10s. I've seen people for the alleged actions of the OP. There are people that are in jail for less than the alleged actions of the OP over at E4. And there are people that have done a lot worse, gotten caught, slap on the wrist, no jail time. So it's like, I don't know. Nobody knows. Hey Dan, do you think the scheme of shill bidding will continue to evolve along with AI? Probably. I mean, it's relatively easy, I think, for bad actors to have multiple accounts and to try and navigate through all that stuff, put bad comps in the marketplace. I've made countless videos on this channel talking about the risk of comp culture, talking about the risk of like marketplaces having bad data history on what's paid, what's not paid. Honestly, this is not me trying to defend him. This is just me trying to defend facts. I consigned with him hundreds of items throughout this year, and like roughly a 7% unpaid rate, which is like what is in line with the market standard. I've sold on eBay 60,000 plus items, many of them that were auctions, and 7% unpaid, which is generally what I saw there. When is Metazu going to drop a cartoon? No idea if they ever will. To be fair, it was in beta. No, that is not a reasonable, like, to be fair, it was in beta. Oh, hey, we lost all your data. We lost some of your payment data, but like, it was in beta. So like, oops, LOL, no biggie. No, it's still a biggie. Probstein underestimated the volume eBay brought. Their usual plays easily seen when they pulled the eyes from eBay. Is it just on eBay to take a stand, or people that believe what you do to take a stand? Or is it truly just the money that matters and not the morals or ethics or possible the law? This is one thing that I'll say, and it's an interesting moral dilemma, interesting like debate topic that you could have. But one note that I put in my live stream notes that wasn't for my initial rant, I figured this would come up. But there's like, as sad as it is to say it, there's a formula that goes into boycotting. I think boycotts are a good way for consumers to like vote with their wallets, but like at the end of the day, there's a formula that goes into like the math behind, am I going to boycott this product? And this is not me. This is not me when I say am I, but like, am I the consumer going to boycott a product? And there's multiple variables that go into the formula on whether or not someone will boycott the product. And I'll outline some and I'll talk about it. But like, how bad is what they did? Shill bidding is bad. It's not as bad as like murder. It's not as bad as like other things, but it's bad. So it's like, one, and we can take this outside of the Pokemon space. It's like, how bad is what was done? How bad is what was done? And the worse it is, the more likely you'll boycott. The less bad it is, the less likely you'll boycott. And then the other factor is like, how much will it cost me to cease operations with this individual, with this company, with whatever? And that's variable depending on the person. So for me personally, my math, shielding is bad. Losing my data is bad. Losing everyone's data is bad. Potentially lying to me, not to my face, but on the phone, through the phone, lying to me. That's bad. I don't like any of that. So it's like, that's pretty bad on the bad scale. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, I don't know. There's a lot worse things, but that's pretty bad. And then how much will it cost me, directly and indirectly, to boycott Probstein? Honestly, it won't cost me that much. I have the ability to sell product through my Instagram, through my website. I have ability to sell through Sealed Shiz Consignments. I have ability to sell through DC Sports. There are other ones that actually popped up. Let me know in the chat if anyone knows any of the other ones that consign for greater than 95% above $1,000 sealed items on eBay. Because that's my main niche. That's my main target for what works for me. So like, what he did is pretty bad. It won't cost me much to boycott him. So I'm not going to necessarily like rally the troops and like, I am not trying to be an influencer. I'm trying to influence you to think for yourself and determine, should you boycott him? I'm not going to tell you that you should. A lot of people, historically, in the real world, in the Pokemon space, a lot of people say, like, boycott this, boycott that. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and why. I'm not sending him any new product. and honestly, being intellectually honest, being open, honest, transparent, as is my brand, as is something that I like it matters. Your word matters. Your actions matter. So I admittedly, if it made me a lot more money, if I was making $1 million a year net using his services, would I be able to walk away from that? And I didn't have the ability to do that anywhere else. I probably couldn't walk away from that. So me being who I am, it's kind of stupid to say that, but it's like, there is a price. There is a price for certain actions. There would not be a price. Shielding is bad, but I have it fairly easy in that the cost is not high for me to stop using him. The cost is almost negligible because there are other replacement services. But like, there are things CGC's done that I didn't like. The cost would be way too high for me to stop using CGC. Same goes for BGS, same goes for PSA. There are things about a lot of the companies in the space that I don't like that that frankly would just cost me too much to boycott, so I don't do it. That's a gross thing to say. I kind of want to go shower after this live stream having said it, but like, that is the truth. That is the honest thing. And people lie too. People can be very hypocritical. There will be people that will chastise other people, this, that, and the other thing. I can't believe you're using Probstein. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. The right card comes up on eBay through Probstein, and it goes for 50% of last sold, and it's the last card they need in the thing. They're gonna buy it from Probstein. There are people that, and I'll just be honest with you. Honestly, like, I'm not these days. I'm not a very big collector anymore. Back in my collector days, had this happened 10 years ago, and Probstein needed the last card, had the last card that I needed for my set, I'd probably buy from him. I'd probably buy from Probstein 10 years ago, 5 years ago, because I was way more collector focused. But these days, I don't have to engage with him. There's enough to buy elsewhere. There's enough to sell elsewhere. So like, I'm personally not going to utilize his services anymore, but you do what works for you. I'm not going to tell people to boycott him because some people will deem what he did less bad. Some people will deem it more bad. Some people might rely on his service to like make money in the hobby. I would say like, hey, DC Sports exists. Sealed Shiz Consignments exists. There are potential other options, but for some reason or another, maybe those don't work for them. Anyways, though, and I see some people saying, I'm not buying or selling anything through Probstein after this. Like, everyone make your own determination of what you're going to do, and then do it. And then stand on your morals, vote with your wallet. I think the world would be a better place if more people voted with their wallet. but I'm not going to be the judge, jury, and executioner on like who should get business and who shouldn't. I'm just going to lay out the objective facts as I know them and as I understand them. I'm going to say what I'm theorizing on. I'm going to say what's subjective, what my opinions are. And then I'm going to give you the information. Like this entire channel, my goal with this entire channel is to just give you information, tell you what I see and why, and what I'm doing and why. And then you choose to do what you choose to do from there. Let's see. Scrolling back up. A lot of auctions are indeed allowed legally to bid on their own stuff. I'd like a chart for all top auction houses and the rules. There are, again, if it was in the terms of service, like please present the terms of service is what I would ask. Why was that not mentioned on the phone call with me? I think like I'm not calling you out, obviously. I'm giving my thoughts around all this. Has Rick made any sort of public statement yet? That's actually a good call. I should share what was said publicly, right? So here is CLLCT.com. Rick Probstein returning to eBay after a failed attempt to start own platform. It basically just said, hey, let me move this quickly. Probstein Auctions confirms our return to eBay. As part of this transition, we will be winding down operations of Snype indefinitely, with every transaction on the platform canceled and all associated funds to be returned to buyers. The shutdown of Snype is being executed through a careful process that places user safety and digital security at the forefront. Well, the launch of Snype did not do any of that, so I hope the shutdown of Snype does that. It's like, hey, we unplugged the computer that was like broadcasting your information across the entire World Wide Web. Again, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know what these words mean exactly, but like the launch of Snype, the operation of Snype were not executed through careful processes that placed our safety and digital security at the forefront. But I'm glad, at least allegedly, the shutdown is doing that. Like, I guess that's a good thing if that's happening. We're following a methodical wind down plan designed to ensure stability and clarity at every step. I would strongly push back on clarity at every step because, like, it wasn't announced on. There should be a snap page, splash page. Let me look what Snype.com says right now. But like Snype.com still says we'll be back shortly. So let me go back to this. So clarity at every step. Snype will be back shortly. Oh, so very clear that Snype is coming back shortly. This is not clarity at every step, in my opinion. Allegedly, this is not my clarity at every step. So I don't like this article. There's been a couple of them. We are booming, right? I'm getting an ad for a digital repack. But yeah, there's a couple articles about all this. It is what it is. It is what it is. And like, it doesn't feel good, but I am just, I'm just a business operating in this space who's going to tell you what I'm doing and why. And yeah, that's what this live stream is. So continuing on. Thoughts on trying to become a super bidder after seeing some of the accounts that were granted that status? I was granted the super bidder status myself. So yeah, it seems like a lot of people with shoddy histories were. The Macallan, whatever it was, the 6-figure alcohol that he was talking about. Did you have any concern that a guy who had the most archaic consignment process that used minimal technology would be able to manage a major tech project to create an auction site to compete with eBay? Again, I apologized for my ignorance on the matter. I apologized for my bad judgment. But like, he's rich. As far as I understand, outside looking in, he's relatively rich. I know that money can be powerful in this world. I know that there exists people in the world, in this space, that he could have theoretically paid, that could have built a website. It was within his budget to build a website that was functional. So like, I push back on that some because like, look at Hills Wholesale Gaming, a website that's been around 30 years. I'm not just gonna say look at it. Let's look at it together. Like, this website does not really scream, and sorry Hills Wholesale Gaming for Yeah, and this is a little scary too. As I say this, shots fired at Hills Wholesale Gaming. They're caught up in the crossfire. But like, I'm on this website right now. I'm not a tech guy. What does this mean? It says right now, my connection is not secure. Like, that's probably not good. Why is it not HTTPS? Am I losing all my data right now just having this web page open? I don't know what that means, but like, it's funny that like, I was gonna say, look at this website. It was built in the 90s. It still looks like the 90s. As far as I understand, they've had my data for a decade, and I don't think they've ever lost it. So like, websites can look very ugly, and they can be safe. Websites can look very safe, and they can be unsafe. So it's like, I think it's unfair. And feel free to push back. Again, this is one guy in his opinion. This is one guy in his thoughts on the matter. I think it's unfair to say, like, it's obvious that, like, you were going to lose all your data. If that's the case, why weren't you, and I know this is Monday morning quarterbacking, so it's a little bit unfair, but the amount of people that say it's so obvious that, like, all this stuff was going to happen and everyone was going to lose their data. Link me to your video timestamp to before Monday where you warned everyone of this because it was so obvious. I will say that to everyone who says this. I'm going to push back and say, link me to your YouTube video that, or link me to your forum post that says, like, hey guys, it is obvious that Rick created a very unsafe website and everyone's data is leaking everywhere. Because I thought, like, I presumed that, like, someone with so much money could have paid someone to make a safe website, but clearly it didn't happen. So we got a tech guy in here. There is no SSL encryption. I don't know what that means exactly, but it sounds bad. That means data exchange between you and the site is not encrypted and is sus to attack. So when you check out at Hills, it's a different site, but apparently I don't know what that means, but it's a little scary. But like, yeah, this stuff is over my head. Admittedly, it is a blind spot for me, all this tech stuff. But keep asking your questions. I will keep answering. I think this is a little unfair, but like, I have apologized. I have apologized to the people. Like, it is an objective statement of fact that there are certain people that signed up for the website only because I made a video. There are people that would not have signed up for the site had I not made the video. And to them, I apologize. I don't know what else to say. I would have presumed that your data would have been safe. I presume that my data was safe, but it's a sad state of reality that, like, Equifax 8 years ago lost my data. Like, the amount of, and it's a sad thing, but like, again, what do you do about it? Almost you just presume whatever data you put online will be lost one day or the other, because the amount of data breaches. Let me pull up a wiki page, list of major data breaches. I'm gonna pull up. I'm sure there's yes, there's a Wikipedia page for it because there has to be. Ideally I want US ones. Oh man, this thing is long. This list includes those involving the theft or compromise of 30,000 or more records. So you can sort by records. Holy crap. Let me share this before I continue on. So in Shanghai, China, let me make this fit. So in Shanghai, China, the National Police database was hacked for a billion records, including name, address, birthplace, national ID number, which is probably like a social security number, mobile number, and all crime and case details. So in Shanghai, China, 1 billion records were leaked. In India, the India Council of Medical Research, so like medical information, 815 million. Indonesia, 337 million. Here's an unknown data breach with unknown government, unknown agency. That's weird. That's weird. Well, like United States National Archives, the U.S. Postal Service. I've never even heard about that one. Like, presume whatever information you have will be. Where's Equifax? So here's Equifax. 143 million people, including names, dates of birth, social security numbers, addresses, credit cards, driver's license. I mentioned this in my video on Monday. Well, like, my information got leaked out there by Equifax, by one of our, I hate the banking system. I hate the credit system. In 2017 or 2018, I had accounts being opened in my name in Florida. by someone that was not me. I've had my credit on permafreeze since 2017. So like, it sucks that this is the case, but like, presume any information you put anywhere will be exposed to the dark web eventually. Because scrolling through this list, it probably already has, and it probably will be again. It's a sad state of affairs we're in, but like, this is the world we live in. Data is worth a lot, and people are constantly seeking to get the data from whatever source is possible. So yeah, it sucks. It is what it is. Have a PO box, anonymize yourself as much as you can, as long as it's not a crime. Lie about your birthday on different websites, as long as it's not a crime, because I don't know if it is or not. If it is a crime, I've not been doing that. If it isn't a crime, I definitely have been doing that, allegedly. But anyways, it's yeah, arm yourself with the information of what data has been leaked, and then do your best to secure yourself against it. Assume any information you put online will probably be leaked at some point, and it probably already has. It's crazy the world we live in, but that's where we're at. I always thought that the promotion and rollout of Snype was extremely poor. Makes you wonder if circumstances changed before official launch, but at that point he was in too deep. No idea whatsoever. Everything is obvious after the fact. Team up was so obvious, yet so few people still have it. Yes. Brad G says, yikes, I ain't touching this one. Brad, you're in here, though. You've been commenting some, so. DeGreen says, hoping Sports Card Radio wraps up their live soon so I can listen to this. I did see that Sports Card Radio was live. There's been a lot of content about this. There will continue to be a lot of content about this. They're still live as I speak. So Donnie says, yeah, I was more saying that if they backstop things like that, they wouldn't be bidding. They would just cover the difference after the auction ended under market. I think there would be legal ways that would allow them to show as a bid. I don't really know, though. Again, terms of service, if that exists, like, show it. Legality, I genuinely don't know. I try to always say, like, what is objective statement of fact? What is speculation? I try to, like, tell people what I know, what I don't know, and I don't know. I don't know around that. Question, will you shoulder check Rick at the National? I think shoulder check sounds as if it would be like a friendly thing. I won't shoulder check him. If that's being mentioned in like a hockey style check, physical assault way, I definitely will not be doing that. But please no, and I haven't seen anything in the chat so far. Like, please no violence, please no, like this is all bad and serious stuff, but it's also like we don't want any of that. And Brad, I'm not saying that you're saying that, but it just made me think about it. I think at this point we can't give him the benefit of the doubt. I said in my video Monday, I'm a relatively cynical person, but I let my guard down and I was not cynical enough for this launch. So yeah. Red Light Dan on 2X is wild. Will Rick have any eBay coupons for people who got leaked? That's I have no idea. Oh no. UFC Collect Profit says, Ketchum, did you ever talk to Probstein about investing in the Snype platform as a partner? I had a Zoom with him and discussed the opportunity, saw the pitch deck, and was close to investing. I did not. The only thing that I had was Brad saying shoulder check, definitely not a friendly thing. Yeah, so I am not going to be shoulder checking him at all. After football players score touchdowns, sometimes they kind of like bump each other's shoulders and light shoulder check. But anyways, that's Brad's getting me derailed a little bit. No, the extent of my relationship with Probstein was like I could sign through him on eBay to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have $30,000 to $50,000 worth of consignments with him that were intended for Snype that are now going back to eBay. And I don't plan on sending any more to him in the future. I bought some from him some before, but like I barely buy from eBay anymore, so I probably won't buy from him again. And I never like got paid by him or anything to promote. Sadly, that video I made last Monday was for free. The only thing I intended to do with Snype, I intended to use the affiliate links like I do for eBay and Fanatics and whatever else. The TOS stuff was an interesting discovery today. I shared it in the thread. I would love to know more, as it seems only allowed in some states regions. You shared it in the E4 thread? Did you share the actual... Oh, I see what you shared. So let me just show what Packy Man Card, presumably Packy Man Card on YouTube, is probably Packy Man on E4. Can anyone verify this blurb from the article? Wayback did not capture the terms of service page. It sounds like the general public was blocked from self-bidding and was publicly discussed as a feature, but there's a gray area where the terms of service can allow internal employees to carry out the behavior. The laws are also murky. Probstein's terms and conditions, like the rules at many large auction houses, said employees could bid on their own auctions as long as they pay for them. If they win an item, they won it fair and square. Of course, a skeptic will ask, how do we know whether something got paid for? I don't know if that was actually in the terms of service. I don't know if that's legally allowed or not, but yeah. Brad says, fake birthday you give to websites. Do you tape over the shower faucet too so the FBI can't record you? Oh, man. No, sometimes if I'm finishing up a text or something while I'm waiting for the water to get hot, sometimes I'm using my cell phone in the bathroom. So yeah, the FBI can see it all. They have seen it all at this point. Ray says, also, thanks for the free dinner when I use your card information later. This man's been ranting for half hour now. No, his jawbone's going to be sore tonight. I'm a bit of a talker. I can be a bit of a talker in the right circumstances. Deuce, this is an average Tuesday. I'm not like a leak channel. I don't do and engage with leaks, really. I'm the wrong channel for that. Depends on how much they want to make an example of someone. Dan, the Probstein stuff was like 3 days ago. Half the hobby has already forgotten about it. More correct, more factually correct, 95% of the hobby never knew about it. Of the 5% subset, and that's being generous, of the 5% subset who heard about Snype and who knew about it a little bit, 90% of those probably didn't know that this whole debacle went on, and like half of them that did know probably forgot. We are in the weeds of weeds. We are way down a rabbit hole. I see your questions, Timmy McGee, but I'm taking them in order. So agreed, Brad. Dude just needs to move on. He's acting like he was involved or something. I mean, I do feel remorse. I do feel bad for having exposed it to people who had their information exposed because of it. I do not feel good about that. So I feel obligated to follow up on it. I feel obligated to talk about what I had initiated, and I feel I need to bring it to a close. Very good one here. It's very similar to the old saying, be who you can afford to be. It's sad, but it is real. Yeah, not legal advice, but keep your eyes open for the class action suit too. If he doesn't own up 30 days after discovering the breach, we are all going to get a 5% off coupon to go shopping. So a countdown has begun. I'm in New York. A countdown has begun. If I am not told, well, technically, he told me on the phone. So technically, I have been told by the guy himself that my data was breached. Does that fulfill the legal obligations that the consumer protection has set out in New York? I don't know. Presumably, I would have to be told through email, told through mail, whatever. I don't know. But he told me vaguely over the phone that, like, yes, data was leaked. I think it would have to be more, like, fleshed out, more done legally. But yeah, 30 days from now, or 30 days from when it happened, we will know whether or not he talked. So in a live stream, I don't desire to become like a news channel, a drama channel, or anything like that. I'm fairly out of my depth here. I'm fairly out of my normal type of content here. But if and when I hear more on it, if and when in 25 days from now, I get an email from Probstein that says like, hey, our bad, sorry, we're dummies. We leaked your data, and here's the data we leaked. I will post that to Instagram. I will maybe I'll do a quick short or something, but like I don't want to make a whole video. I don't want to make a whole live stream. I want to go back to talking about New Jersey Collecticon recap. I want to talk about all the topics I have to talk about, which are a lot of them in the space. Dan used the same thumbnail 3 videos in a row. I changed them a little bit. This is where Ray gifted the 10 subs. Thank you again, Raymond. I posted on one of his ads that I thought he should fire the PR team that told him Snype was a good name. Originally, it was going to be BID, B-Y-D, but maybe he couldn't get the URL. I think it was some other company's name that was a pretty big company. I don't know. Dan was hoping a gifted membership would go to Probstein123 lurking in the chat. Ray, maybe you should gift like 500 more memberships and maybe see if Rick is hiding in here somewhere. Just keep gifting, and then maybe he'll turn up. But thank you, Ray. Timmy McGee says, big name people in the hobby, like Scott, have alluded many times to having nuclear level info regarding wrongdoing from individuals and corporations in Pokemon, TCG, etc. Do you know anything allegedly? Ooh, that's a big question. I can't say that I have nuclear level things to talk about. I can't say I have a smoking gun on any big platform or anything like that. My conscience would not allow me, like, if you have anything, like, please just don't share it with me, because like my conscience would not allow me to not talk about it or not do something about it to some extent. But like, there are definitely things that go on that I hope I never find out about. Ray gifted another 10. He's trying to. Everyone, check the username. See if we can. See if he gives one to Probstein123. But yeah, thank you, Ray. Ray knows I was memeing, but I appreciate it. I appreciate following through with the meme. Do I know of anything shady that's gone on? I get DMs that are like, I don't like. I've had people say like, hey Dan, Golden is coming up this weekend. Heritage is coming up this weekend. Are there any items that you're going for so we can basically collude to not bid on the same thing, same item together? Have I called out everyone who's sent that DM to me? No. Have I educated them on the fact that that's bad? Like, shill bidding is bad. So is bid rigging. The amount of people over the 11 years I've been in the hobby who have attempted to collude with me, who have attempted to bid rig with me, some that should know better, I would think. But I just educate them on the fact that that's no bueno. And then, like, don't do that again. I'm going to bid on what I'm going to bid on, and I'm not going to be swayed by any outside forces. So it's like, I have some of that over the years. Extra copies are definitely out there. I don't think that's like a secret. I think that's known. I've owned some cards that were definitely extra copies before. Art Academy cards, I've talked about it at the time. Trophy cards. I bought, how many have I owned over the years? 7? I think I've owned 7 unique Pikachu trophy cards. 6 of them I bought from the winner themselves. One of them I did not buy from the winner. It could have been an extra copy for all I know, but I don't know for sure. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like extra copies. I don't like the whole prototype thing. I don't like the whole, I like things that came out of a booster pack. Extra copies come out of booster packs though. And there have been times where like, I have suspicions that like maybe, and here's one that was very public. That Fusion Strike thing, does anyone remember a couple years ago, the Fusion Strike thing, where all the hits showed up in LGS and somebody called Pokemon and investigations and this and that and all the cards were seized? I have no information 100% that is happening, but thinking logically, stuff's probably happening. That stuff's probably happening. Have I ever had anybody try to sell me 1,000 hits from a set? No. And I would hope that anyone engaging with me would be smart enough to not do that. But that stuff probably does go on to some extent. Do I know about it? No. And I hope I never do. But bad stuff goes on, and I don't have any. I don't have any juicy gossip to share with you. I don't have any smoking gun, none of that stuff. So that is a very real question that unfortunately I don't have a real answer to. I hear that sealed shiz guy is kind of hot. Can you confirm? Well, see, I like to report on objective statements of fact. How hot someone is subjective, so I'm not gonna share. But yeah, shout out to Greeny. Shout out to Sealed Shiz Consignments. As far as I understand, Sealed Shiz Consignments has had exactly the same amount of data breaches that Catch 'em All Collectibles has had. 0. Am I done using Probstein? I have items with him that were intended to be sold on Snype that he is going to list and sell on eBay that I'm not gonna take back. But I'm not gonna send new stuff to him. So yes, I am actively using him for the items that he already had, but I'm not sending anything new. Amazing that after all that it was the Snype blow up that marked the cycle top. Yeah. What are the worst experiences you've had with the consigners? What about buyers? What about anything just TCG related? The worst experiences I've had with the consigners, I've never caught anyone shill bidding on their own stuff. I talked about this in my video on Monday. So I have consignments through Fanatics. It feels a little bit gross to do like it. I'm not going to do a full ad read, but like just to answer the question properly, I sell people's stuff on Fanatics. One thing that I talked about in the video on Monday is that I think I need to go to this. Yeah, I need to go here to show it. But Fanatics removes bids. But Fanatics, to some extent, do they catch every shill bidder? Probably not, logically speaking. But Fanatics removes bids. Every week I get a notice from Fanatics that they saw something they didn't like and they removed some amount of bids from some amount of my auctions. So is that them knowing that shill bidding is going on? Is that like, I don't know what that is, but they're doing something. The other bad things I've had with consigners, I've had some people just, well, one, I get this with people selling to me. I get this with people consigning to me. Some people send me stuff. They send me thousands of dollars of their stuff with no note, with no tracking. So it's like, I don't even know it's coming. I don't even know to expect it. And then, that's very annoying. Like, please send me tracking when you send me an item, and please include some kind of a slip so I know who you are. But, what about buyers? The worst buyers I've had have scammed me. I've sold stuff on eBay. They've returned it resealed. They've returned it. They've returned an empty box. And then anything TCG related, mostly that, mostly scams on eBay. But I've always been covered. eBay has always covered me. So shout out to them. Shout out to Fanatics for doing a little bit of shill bid detective work. eBay could be a lot better. I've made videos years past about eBay, Fanatics, PWCC, Gold, and Heritage. I've made videos on how like everyone should be better, but it's unreasonable. It is impossible for anyone to be 100% on everything, logically speaking. How do you differentiate marketing versus manipulating the market / items in the market? I think if anyone were to ever accuse me, and some people do, some people accuse me of market manipulation. Some people accuse me of pumping things. And it's like, I tell you what I'm buying and why. And I beg people to think for themselves. I beg people to think critically. And a lot of people are just like, oh, Dan said he bought this. Dan showed me a Metazoo card. That means he's pumping Metazoo. No, I tell people about the risks. I tell people about what I'm doing and why. I tell people all my biases. I tell people as much as I can think to tell people, to give all the disclaimers and all this stuff. And honestly, that's why my channel has sub 10,000 subscribers. So many disclaimers. I'm not viral. I'm not punchy. I'm not straight to the point. I'm not a drama channel that's always talking about the latest hot gossip, spilling the tea. I'm a fairly tame, boring, robotic, emotionless, generally, channel that just talks about what my business is doing and why. And I'm telling you what I think and why. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I think and why, so that you can stress test your own thoughts and beliefs and come to your own conclusion. Please, please think critically. Please, please do your own due diligence. Please think for yourselves. As I always say. I made it. Dan, thanks for your transparency on this whole situation. Thank you for being here. Ray says, man, I'm just happy the heat is off Whatnot for a day or two. This is a big point that I was hoping would come up tonight. It is crazy that eBay would let him back on when they banned PWCC for shill bidding a couple years ago. Did they ban PWCC for shill bidding? That's what they say. That's what they said. 3-4 years ago. I can't link it above because this is a live and maybe I can go at it later. But 3-4 years ago, eBay claimed that they were banning PWCC for shill bidding. I'm sure, mathematically speaking, yes, some amount of shilling was going on. Was there someone with PWCC alleged? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna cautiously. I'm not gonna say as firmly that I don't think there was, but like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But PWCC was creating their own platform. PWCC was competing with them. So there's two interesting points here, because it's like some people say PWCC was banned for shill bidding. Well, why was Rick let back on with this, like all this data, all this information being out there, all this alleged information not being looked into? Well, you can kind of point back to PWCC and say, they probably weren't banned for shilling because Rick just got let back on with all these allegations. And then, though, Probstein was openly talking for a year about having a new platform and leaving eBay. And eBay didn't ban him. So, like, logically, you can also say that, like, what I would have purported 4 years ago is that, like, my opinion 4 years ago was that eBay banned PWCC for a competing platform. But they didn't ban Rick. So it's like they probably didn't ban PWCC for a competing platform. But maybe they did, but maybe they didn't. And one thing I'll say again, consistently inconsistent. Just because they did one thing years ago, and like, it doesn't always need to universally apply. There's always going to be exceptions. There's always going to be like different things going on. Is it the same CEO? Is it the same like shot callers at eBay that it was back during PWCC? I don't know. But it's an interesting conversation. Listing Pokemon cards while watching your live. Appreciate you being here. Hope everyone. It's always interesting for me to think that like some people have me on their TV and then their spouses are stuck listening to me or their kids are stuck listening to me. That's always wild to me. The way that I picture it, like I have 3 screens in front of me. If I were listening to this content, if I were not the one making the content, I would be pre-grading cards or I would be sorting cards. I would be answering emails. The thought that some people are sat there eating their popcorn, only watching me on a large screen, that like blows my mind because that's not the way that I engage. But it's always interesting to hear. Let's see. What's more extreme, probe shield or having an edge in craps? I can objectively state that there is no system for having an edge in craps over the house, over the casino. I can say that objectively. Can I objectively say, do I have proof myself that I have 100% vetted and verified that Probstein shilled on Snype? I don't. It looks scary in the E4 OP. I can objectively say that data was breached. I can objectively say that my data and your data was hacked. Or not even hacked, like it was just given out basically, from what I understand. But so I can objectively say that. Can I objectively say that he shilled? No. Could the FBI, if they were to investigate, there's probably enough information out there that they could definitively say one way or the other. IPs and devices, like they could probably tie it all together. Will they? I don't know. There are people, as I said, consistently inconsistent. There are people who have done less than the OP and E4 alleges, and they're in jail. And there are people that have done a lot more than the OP on E4 alleges, and been caught for it, and they are not in jail. So it's like, I don't know. It could happen. I truly don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Shill bidding in the business of online auctions is extreme. It's the moral equivalent of 10 out of 10 offenses you're talking about. Shill bidding is bad. Yes, definitely. Is it the absolute worst thing you could do? I don't know. I'm gonna time out. I don't know who this Melissa seems like a bot or something. I'm gonna put you in timeout for 5 minutes, and I think you'll go away. I don't know if I have any mods in here, but yeah, there was seemingly a bot just ranting about things that didn't make sense. I'm a long ways behind, but keep asking your questions. I will answer them all. Continuing on. But yeah, expired SSL cert is like noob stuff. What are other gray areas that some view as questionable and others view as morally wrong, but are often done because not illegal? What do you actively do that may be considered versus what others do? This is a big question. What are other gray areas that some view as questionable? So here's one that I can actually talk about. Let me pull up E4. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I'm gonna try to search quickly, but like pack weighing, I was of the opinion 10 years ago that pack weighing should be allowed. It was happening. Pack weighing used to be very frowned upon. It used to be like done in the deep dark corners of like a lot of people didn't know about it, that it didn't exist. My opinion was knowledge is power. My opinion 10 years ago is like, I'm going to open boxes, I'm going to weigh the heavy packs, and I'm going to open the hollows, grade them, and sell the lights as light packs, non-hollow. I've done that for over a decade on eBay. Years, I got in a back and forth debate. I got in a little bit of contentious disagreements with King Pokemon, Gary, 11 years ago on E4. I always thought it was fair and fine to do it as long as you disclose it. And here's one that I didn't engage in. Let me see if I can find a thread that I actually engaged in. But for a long time, I think the prevailing sentiment, and honestly, the prevailing sentiment was to keep it quiet and not tell people about it and don't do it. Honestly, I think a lot of the people, not a lot, I think that some portion of people that wanted it to be kept secret, that wanted to not talk about it, that wanted no one to do it, were doing it themselves deviously. 11 years ago, there were people that were maliciously. Today, there are people that maliciously weigh packs. And one thing that can happen, I've opened WotC boxes. I've opened right here. I've opened base set unlimited boxes. So here's a little bit of education. I've opened boxes where the light packs are 20.4 and the heavy packs are 20.6, 20.7. Usually there's about a 0.2 to 0.3 gram spread between the light packs, which contain non-hollows, and the heavy packs that contain hollows. 11 years ago, I was cracking these boxes, opening the 12 hollow packs, and selling art sets of the non-hollow packs. And I was disclosing it, so I always thought it was fine because I was disclosing it. There was just on Discord earlier, there was just like a moral debate about can you sell empty boxes because like people might reseal them. As long as you do something that like isn't primarily a bad thing, as long as you like disclose all the information. Well, what happens if people bought my weighed packs and sold them as unweighed? I can't do anything about that. What happens if someone buys my sealed box, opens it, and reseals it? I can't do anything about that. If I know that they're doing that, I'm not going to sell to them. But it's like, at some point, you can't control what the next person does. So I've always been the opinion that like weighing is better, that everyone knows about it. And today, it's ubiquitous. But what bad characters will still do? Go on eBay. Go on eBay, and you will find 21.2 gram packs that say heavy base set pack, likely hollow. They will not guarantee it. And sometimes they know. So I've opened base set boxes. My lights were 21.2. My lights were 21.3. My heavies were 21.6. If you buy a heavy guaranteed hollow pack on Fanatics from me, at a show for me, whatever, I guarantee it. If you open it and it's a non-hollow, I will give you your money back. Those people selling on eBay, some of them selling the light packs from a heavy box, they're not guaranteeing anything. There are people scamming. There are people calling packs heavy that they know are non-hollow. It sucks. It sucks that people do that. People suck. My opinion has always been arm yourselves with information. Knowledge is power. But I used to fight that fight years ago on E4. And let me see if I can find a thread where I actually engaged with it. Combating Wade packs posted back in 2015. I want to see one that I engaged in. Man, I'm getting nostalgic reading all these usernames. Advanced filters posted by Gotta Catch 'Em All. So, some of these old E4 usernames, I remember engaging with them. Here we go. So this is 2018, and this is like subjective. This is like everyone has their own opinion, but like my perception on selling Wade booster packs, and you scroll down, this is me in 2018. It says oh, so this is something that was like broken out of a thing, but basically what I used to say is yeah, weighing a pack alone is not immoral. It's like if you weigh a pack and then don't disclose it, that's the immoral act. Weighing a pack is inherently not immoral. You can do with your product whatever you want to do. And honestly, a lot of people on E4 10 years ago did not like the fact that I stated that weighing a pack that you own is not inherently immoral. The only time that it becomes immoral is once you lie about what you've done. Once you lie about the fact that, oh, hey, sell these light non-hollow packs as unweighed. Sell them as heavy, potentially hollow. That's where the bad act is coming in. And I was the exception. Most people fought that. I got into arguments with a lot of people on E4 about it, and I was actively weighing packs, selling the lights as guaranteed non-hollow light packs, good for art set collectors, a cheap way to get it. But yeah, and that has come around the other way. Now it's accepted. Now it's known. I think a lot of people still don't like it, but it's like I didn't create the pack's ability to be weighed, but like I'm just being as honest as I can be. I'm gonna sell you a guaranteed hollow or a non-hollow pack. That's the way that I thought to do business. So yeah, and as Mason says, these packs have existed for 25 plus years, and through 4 booms, assume all packs have been weighed. Assume, yes, loose WotC packs especially. And again, it's like we sell loose packs. We rip loose packs on our live streams. Some people don't trust them. You don't need to buy from us, but like we break down our product from good product source from Costco and wherever. I'm not sourcing them. I'm buying them from people that are doing that, from distro, yada yada yada. Continuing on though, so I can catch up someday. Where am I at right now? Trying to find where I was, sorry. So yeah, what are other gray areas that some view as questionable and others view as morally wrong, but are often done because not illegal? Pack weighing, I think, is a good answer to that. And we've changed. We've changed as a hobby in 11 years. Generally speaking, some people still haven't changed their opinion on it, but generally speaking, it's more accepted. Oh, Timmy McGee says, what are the debate highlights with King Pokemon? I love Gary. I think he's a really cool dude, but he got pretty heated. I'm not going to say exactly what the words stuck with me. 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, he made some pretty firm statements that like I still remember. I don't have an amazing memory, but I remember some of the words that he used in that debate. And he was like, he was being, I'm not going to share, and it wasn't like bad words, but it was like, it was something that he wasn't going to actually do, but he talked about something like alluding towards like getting physical over something, talking about the dentist, talking about something. Yeah, I guess I kind of shared what he said. But anyways, assuming Probstein doesn't take any major hit to their business, could you see yourself going back to using them on eBay, or will you boycott for ethical reasons? I'm probably just gonna sell through DC Sports. Again, going back to the whole boycott dilemma. Going back to the whole boycott dilemma is I have information. I have information that may likely come true, that I will have a better outlet for sealed sales soon. So it makes boycotting Probstein easier. DC Sports existing and paying out 96% on items above 1,000. DC Sports is beating Probstein's rates. I think they're slower than Probstein, but their site backend is awesome. So I'm going to shout out one of the competitors. DC Sports is paying new higher rates. They're paying $1,000 to $5,000. They're paying 96% on sealed product. I think they have some fees. Like, you need to be careful. Like, do your due diligence. Don't blindly send to DC Sports 87. If you desire to, I'm going to be more safe. I'm going to be more disclaimer-y in the future. But I'm going to be safer, and I'm going to say do your own due diligence, but I am using DC Sports 87. If and when anything happens to your data, if and when anything happens to your product, you chose yourself to use DC Sports 87. But I'm using them because they pay out high. Above 5,000, they pay out 97%, which is crazy. More or less physical than him ripping up packs out of that box with Stevie Aoki. So this was said in a way that, like, he was not actually threatening physical harm to me. But Gary said something along the lines of, like, you're going to need a visit to the dentist, basically, after, like, I punch you. Like, he wasn't going to actually punch me, but he said something about needing a visit to the dentist. Yeah, it was, we talked about it afterwards. We squashed the beef. Gary and I go way back. I don't even know if he'd remember that, but it was fairly contentious over pack weighing, we used to talk about shill bidding. We used to talk about, like, all these different things. And yeah, I pushed back on some of what he was saying, and it was an interesting conversation. So Bella says, why do you consign with eBay sellers? Why don't you just sell it yourself on eBay? Because why do you consign with eBay sellers? Because certain products are better sold on eBay. And as of right now, I cannot sell sealed product on Fanatics. So I have my own Fanatics operation that I do consignments on, but they don't take sealed product currently. So that's why I sell on eBay with other people. I don't want to sell sealed product to the end consumer. I have before, and I don't want to do it again. See, Eddie Lee says, if you had a clue who Rick was, you never would have pumped it. To say that I pumped it is too strong. I talked about it. I was going to use it. I was using it, but I was not pumping it. I was not shilling it. I was not, like, semantics, kind of, but, like, it does matter. You got suckered by the thought that he's rich, he knows what he's doing, you just didn't do enough research. I mean, I consigned with him for over a year on eBay. I sold $400,000-ish of stuff on eBay with him. I feel like I had a reasonable presumption that things would go fine. But did it age poorly? Yeah. Brad's loving life right now. Let's see. The cartel is really rich too, Daniel. Will you do deals with them as well? What does a data leak in China have to do with a Probstein leak? Strawman? What am I strawmanning? I was saying, I'm not saying that Snype's data leak is not bad because everyone else has leaked data. I'm just making an objective statement of fact that lots of data has been leaked everywhere, and it's bad when anyone does it. Arm yourself with the information that, like, you should safeguard your data best you can. Use a PO box. Use like things like that. What was all I was saying. That's a weird comment. I don't understand. I'm assuming the entire conversation tonight will be about Probstein and Snype. But, like, if people have other questions, I can take them too. But yeah, Jar Chomp was on. I'm so terrible with podcast names. He was on with Rob and Twice Big Jake, and short plastic, long cardboard. I think the premiums on graded cards are crazy, and I don't really invest in singles. I invest and speculate in sealed product. So when I say short plastic, long cardboard, I'm fairly bearish on the short-term premiums around graded cards. But I'm bullish on the hobby existing on the whole, on the long term. I'm bullish not just like cardboard in general, not just necessarily cardboard encased in plastic, but like the hobby, sealed product especially is where I'm bullish. That's what short plastic, long cardboard means. Yeah, Nick also thought I meant like cardboard being singles, which was kind of odd to me. But like, again, I've talked about it before, but like I have in my mind message A, I speak message B, you hear message C, and you believe and think message D. It's like we're playing a game of telephone. Snipe auction started ending prematurely due to a bug beginning at 5:30 p.m. I'm literally the only one mentioning this. It matters because Rick 100% knew and still didn't shut the site down. Why? So the website isn't like a physical entity that's in a room. If the website was a physical entity in the room with Rick, Rick probably would have pulled the plug earlier. Maybe not. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. But I think he literally didn't know how to shut the website down. Because while, like, as of right now, I'm not a tech guy. I haven't verified this myself. But I've been told by better tech people that, like, this is shut down. I've been told that this iteration, the current iteration of Snype.com, is not currently leaking data. But there was hours where this was the iteration of Snype and it was actively leaking data. I don't know how to replicate that. I didn't know how to do that, but like supposedly from someone much more tech savvy than myself, it was shut down but not shut down. I don't know all that. Let's see. Professor Broke, this is very misquoting me. You said in your last video you hoped Rick went back to eBay. No, I did not say that. I said Rick likely would end up back on eBay. I said that Rick told me he was in negotiations trying to get back on eBay. So this is like a horrible misattribution of my words. And I did say this, though. I did say that Rick currently has items of my own. Rick has items that he had 2 months ago that were intended for Snipe that are going to sell on eBay through him. I'm not sending him new stuff, but the stuff he has, I'm not going to go to the trouble of getting that back. I'm going to have him sell it. Damage has already been done. I've already sold $400,000 in stuff through him. Snipe was the broken website. eBay is not broken. But yeah, the things that are with him are being sold through him. So yeah, I don't want to take the cards back that he currently has. So he's going to sell an additional $40,000-ish of my cards after he's already sold $400,000 worth of my cards. eBay took him back. I don't believe this, but like maybe they vetted this. Maybe eBay looked into this and found something that they're fine with. I highly doubt it. But like, I'm not trying to, like, it doesn't feel good to have sold a bunch through him with what's gone on. I'm not sending new stuff. But I'm not going so far as to claw back the things that he has. Like, that is just an open, honest, objective statement of fact. Some people will say, Dan, you should do more. You should claw everything back. Will he actually get them back to me in all the same, like, damage in the mail, loss in the mail, like, all the cost of the shipping back, and I'm not going to open that can of worms. A better person theoretically would, right? A better person than me, a more moral person than me, would boycott him more thoroughly than I am. But I'm just stating exactly what's happening and what's not happening. So like everyone make your own decisions. And Frankie McDonald says, why not ask for the 40K cards back and give them to another consignment shop? I would think this current round of auctions has potential to get killed. Honestly, and this is like, I know, as I say this is not an amazing answer. It's partially I'm too lazy to do it. It's risk of things getting lost in the mail. It's spending shipping 2 more times when I've already spent shipping once. And this is not like, if I had, here we go. If I had 1 slab with him, if I had 20 slabs with him, I would take him back. I have sealed booster cases of Pokemon. I have hundreds of pounds of things. I have like I drive an SUV, a small SUV, a Kia Sportage, but I have a Kia Sportage full of cards. I don't want to spend all the time and money to take it back, frankly. And honestly, through all my avenues, through all my consigning, through selling other people's cards, through Fanatics Live, eBay Live, I'm selling nearly $10 million in cards this year. So like 40,000 sounds like a lot, but like proportionally, it's 0.4% of what I have sold this year and will sell this year. So like, I don't like it, but again, open, honest, transparent. I'm just telling you what I've done and why. So how's it going, Zorner? Nice to see you in here. I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to try to get all the questions still. Scrolling back up. I'm a long ways out, but I will stay live until I answer every question, and I will not shy away from any question. Like that. So, Brad, I have 2 vehicles. I have a large van, a minivan, and a small SUV. Do we know how many people got the super bidder status? What was the vetting process like? I saw in a Rada video some sketchy people were identified in the breach. So I had super bidder status. I consigned $400,000 ish stuff with Rick. Presumably, me having a YouTube channel, I don't know what factored into it exactly, but I linked my eBay that had 60,000 sales over 20 years. I linked my website. I don't think I linked my YouTube, but my website links my YouTube. So I had super bidder status. How many people got it? I have no idea. It's probably included in the breach though. If you had to hold one of these for 5 years, Poncho Pikachu PSA 10 or Cosmic Eclipse booster box, if they were the same price today. Probably the Cosmic Eclipse booster box. Short plastic, long cardboard. I like sealed more than I like slabs. Wild comment. Release the Probstein files. Honey Bunny is all over the flight logs. Wild. The Boring Channel said, I sent in my info for Super Bidder and Super Seller was approved in 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know what the actual vetting process was like. Yeah, like some amount of shill bidding goes on eBay, and one bone that I have to pick with eBay, they don't remove it. So if I sell a couple $100 slab and someone bids it up to 10 grand, eBay doesn't remove it. Fanatics removes it. Heritage removes it. Golden removes it. eBay owns Golden, so like eBay's doing better over here and they're doing worse over here. I wish eBay would remove bad sales data. Fanatics does, but again, it's like none of these platforms are perfect, and it is what it is. Arm yourself with information. Knowledge is power. Gossip. Rick. So again, I've not vetted this individual. They're making claims that I'm not sure are true, but like Rick Probstein told me personally to send him some of my sealed. My question was, how will people know about Snype? He said he put in millions on ads and billboards. All not true. We'll send to DC. Yeah, I don't know how much he advertised it. I saw some of his silly AI ad competitions they did, but Brad, I'm married, and we have our things. We have our bank account, our vehicles. There's 2 vehicles. She primarily drives one. I primarily drive one, but we trade them. We are 2 that is one, and it is all our things. Billboards is kind of hilarious, Zorner. eBay did change something. I've been on eBay for over 20 years. eBay did anonymize bidder activity more than it used to be years ago, which, why exactly they did that? I think there are valid privacy concerns as to why they did that, but there are also concerns around, like, there's pros and cons. So there's pros and cons to them having anonymized bid data. A pro being that privacy is better. A con being with that privacy, some do devious things. Do I know any nuclear level info for anything in the space? I mentioned earlier to that question that I don't. The only scandal I've ever heard of is like, I've heard of shill bidding accusations, but like running a consignment service myself through Fanatics, having run one before, having a friend who runs one, ZNG Emporium, consigning happens on a consigner level at times. And if and when I ever knew a consigner was bidding on their own items through my consignment service, I would ban them. I would return their cards, as James did. Shout out to James. He caught people doing it. He had people consign cards with him. They were bidding on an account of the same name, and they got caught, And they said, yeah, I'm doing that. And he said, you can't do that. Go away. You're banned. So like a lot of the shilling going on Probstein's eBay account is probably done by bad actors who are consigning with him. And it's like, if they're doing it in an intelligent way with alternate accounts with different usernames, it's like, he would have no way of knowing. He would have no way of knowing. He doesn't have like deep level IP information that eBay would have. But maybe this whole Snype debacle, maybe the FBI gets onto it. Maybe the FBI investigates Probstein on eBay and on Snype. Maybe something huge gets uncovered. I genuinely don't know whatsoever. Unfortunately, a lot of people are new in the space and were unaware, but at least now they are and can make better decisions in the future. Yeah, I having spoke with him on the phone, I've seen enough that, like, I'm not saying that I will never consign with him again, never buy from him again, but the only way that I would is if I hear and see very convincing information that, like, quells a lot of the issues that have arisen from that E4 thread. So, like, things could change, new information could be presented that could help the case, but I'm not holding my breath whatsoever. And the cost of switching away from him is so low that it's like, it's an easy enough boycott for me to personally do. Is it possible to block a seller on eBay? I don't know. That's actually a good question. Because, like, he sells so much stuff that, like, I mean, it's fairly easy to see who the eBay user is. So it's like, just, actually, I think you can do minus. Let me, I'm going to pull up a quick eBay search and see if I can make it work. One second. Bear with me while I prep a screen to share with you. So I think there could be a way. We're going to try it together live. So looking at Probstein on eBay, there's a 2018 EV Scream Munch PSA 9 promo. It is his listing. His username is Probstein Auctions. When I search 2018 EV Scream Munch PSA 9, it comes up as him. If I add in minus Probstein Auctions, so eBay uses like Boolean search terms, you might be able to exempt his listings. No, I still see it. So that didn't work. Let me see if I can find a way to make that happen. There might not be. Seller, can I exclude? Here we go. So I found it. So go over here. Go over here on the left side and go to show only, see all, and then go to seller, only show items from, exclude Probstein Auctions. Apply. eBay. eBay. You made it look like you had the functionality, and it seems broken. So that was a big whiff. I thought I was getting somewhere. So advanced search is there, but I put in Probstein Auctions and it didn't work. Is his username actually something different other than Probstein Auctions? Okay, it's Probstein 123. So when I go to his about, it's actually Probstein 123. So let me try again. Let me go into more filters. Seller. Exclude Probstein 123. Apply. Ah, there we go. If you want to avoid, there we go. So thank you, Frankie McDonald Fan Club. So I got there before I saw your comment, but use Probstein 123, not Probstein Auctions, and it will work. So if you don't want to buy from any specific sellers on eBay, shout out to eBay. You can block sellers functionally. You just have to put that into your filter in an eBay advanced search. So we have the technology. If you seek to do no more business with Probstein 123, if you seek to do no more business with whoever else, like We have the technology, which is great. I have been screaming for 15 years that this hobby was a billion-dollar fraud. I was wrong. It's at least a $50 billion fraud. Chillstein did almost $1 billion with eBay. Yeah, there are definitely nefarious things that go on. It sucks. What's the saying? I don't think we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think there's a lot of passionate people who are here enjoying the space, doing good, honest business in the space, collecting, getting fulfillment from the space. But yeah, like vote with your wallet on against anything that you don't like, and hopefully things will get better over time. But like my cynic self, it's probably it's probably not something that's actually going to work over time. But maybe it will. Who knows? Again, PWCC, I've heard allegations. I've not seen like definitive proof of anything. Fanatics owns it now. So yeah, I don't know. But I'm not aware of any firsthand knowledge. I'm not aware of any shady dealings or anything like that. But definitely things go on. Absolutely. I am definitely someone who was taught what integrity is, and I'm a man of my word. I'm very big on openness, honesty, transparency, and any things like this going on in the space, I don't enjoy whatsoever. But admittedly, like I probably have blind spots. I'm probably oblivious to some things that have gone on. But yeah, I conduct all my business with integrity. I'm the kind of guy who thinks a handshake means something, and I think that's largely lost in today's world we live in. I am not 99 selling yet. I am level 1 selling. I'm actually level 0 selling. I haven't logged in since selling launched, sadly. I don't like that Fanatics has buyer's premium. I wish they just had a singular price and then a seller's fee. But like, it's kind of the industry standard in the auction house space. Heritage has it, Golden has it. I don't like it, but it's a thing that, yeah, some places have. I wish they'd just be regular. Um, let's see. No, Dan, tell me what I want to hear, not what's logical or rational. Please stroke my delulu. That's why I'm here. I will always side with logic and reason. I will always do my best to do everything with utmost integrity and honesty and open. Like I think people that have been here for a long time and know me and my channel, I think and I hope they know that and they believe that. But yeah, all I can do is like conduct good, honest, open business every day, and not give any potential people who deny that or don't believe that, don't give them any room, don't give them any confirmation of that. Questions: did you move completely to Chase Bank, or did you keep your local credit union biz account as well? Trying to make a similar decision myself. So I still bank personally with a local credit union, but I couldn't bank with my credit union because you had to go into the bank and sit down with a manager and fill out a piece of paper to send an ACH. I do consignments, I buy large collections all the time. It did not work. So I closed my business bank account and I opened up Chase. Well, I opened up Chase. I ran both in parallel for a couple months, and then I got everything transitioned over, and I run solely with Chase now. Which to an extent is like a little bit of risk having only one business bank account, because if that ever got compromised, if that ever got like shut down somehow, if that ever got whatever, like I have no way to pay people. I'd have no way to pay my credit cards, right? It would be it would be bad. Not that I would have no way, but I'd have no business means to do it. Yeah, he clearly didn't hire competent professionals to build a site. I can only imagine how much he was paid for that crappy site. that's the thing. Like I always say, consult professionals, but you need to go above and beyond, and you need to consult competent professionals. And it's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit difficult at times to know, like, hey, your toilet stops flushing, something starts leaking in your basement, and you hire a plumber. Well, if you know nothing about plumbing, how do you know whether or not you hire a competent plumber? How do you know whether or not you're hiring someone who's going to lie, cheat, or steal from you? It sucks, but like to some extent, you need to learn a little bit about everything so that you can vet that someone is treating you right and doing the right things. And you need to consult other people you trust. Hey, did your neighbor recently get some plumbing done? Did a family member get some plumbing done? Like consult consult people that you know that have dealt with that industry, people in that industry. It's all you can do. Yeah. Whether it comes to your selling platform of choice or your tradesman of choice or whatever it may be. And I appreciate that very much, Mr. Golf Ball Man, one of the few YouTubers that let us in and share insights from your business. Just wanted to thank you. Always great nuggets of info from your videos and appreciate your transparency. I've gotten similar comments, like dozens of them in the past 48 hours since I made my video, since everything went down. I have gotten some comments. I've gotten some comments, some DMs of like, Dan, you suck. Dan, I'm mad at you. Dan, you got all my data leaked. And again, all I can do is apologize. I take ownership for having exposed people to a website that exposed your information. But one thing I will be more careful to do, I will try to be more cynical in the future. I will try to be more disclaimer driven in the future. Some people say, Dan, stop with all the disclaimers. Just talk to us. But that's the way that I think. And when I talked about DC Sports earlier, when I showed DC Sports new consignment rates, maybe somebody in chat, maybe somebody has issues with them. I don't know much about them. I have consigned with them before, and they treated me right. But like when I say this, I'm sending stuff that I was sending in the past to Probstein. I'm now sending to DC Sports. But do your own due diligence. Vet them, their website, their behaviors yourself. Make the personal decision yourself and own the personal decision yourself if you decide to consign with them. I'm going to go back into disclaimer mode. I'm going to get a little bit more defensive and be in disclaimer mode whenever I talk about any other business. I use Fanatics. Do your own due diligence. Decide if you want to do business with them. I use eBay. Do your own due diligence. Decide if you want to do business with them. I grade my cards with PSA, CGC, and BGS. I know of issues that all three companies have had. Do your own due diligence. Just because I grade with them does not mean you should blindly do so. Do your own due diligence and make personal decisions on everything you're going to do, everything you're going to engage in the hobby. We just talked about banking with Chase. Do your own due diligence. There's a lot of like banking issues that have been, there's a lot of settlements that have been paid by Wells Fargo and all these different banks. And it's like, it's kind of a sad state of reality that we exist in, that like there are bad actors out there in all different kinds of spaces. And there are always going to be people trying to take from you your money, take from you your privacy, take from you your data. And you got to do your best to wade through a lot of the murky waters that exist out in the world. It sucks. It sucks, but it like arm yourself with information. Knowledge is power. And do your own due diligence and own your personal decisions. Yeah. I don't know. This one just came in, but I already clicked on it, so I have to kind of take it now. Otherwise, I'm going to think that I took it already. Heard anything about this alleged Topps Chrome Pokemon set for the anniversary? Sarah Natacheni posted a sheet of auto stickers saying a new signature series is coming on her Instagram. That is crazy. If we get Topps cards that are serialized, I think it's inevitable on a long enough time frame. I don't follow Sarah Natacheni, but I'm going to pull her up right now. Oh, man. That's wild. New signature series coming your way. Sarah Natacheni, one of the two. There's two voice actresses for Ash Ketchum. One is Sarah Natacheni. The other is Veronica Taylor. And that's wild. That is wild. New signature series coming your way. Are they Topps for sure? If we get some kind of a serialized product with Pokemon for the 30th anniversary, like I knew nothing about that. That would be wild. I will probably engage with that product. That's exciting if something like that comes. But yeah, I've said before, I think it's a when, not an if Pokemon will do serialized someday. I think it's when will Pokemon do serialized. I wouldn't think it would be anytime soon, but like if they ever did it, I don't think it'll be in the TCG. I think it would be in a secondary product like Tops or something like that. But yeah, we'll see. That's wild. And maybe it's not anything to do with Pokemon. Maybe it'll be Seronatacheni. Maybe it'll be voice actors. Maybe it'll be anime, TCG, voice actors, whatever. I don't know. That's interesting though. um, I'm scrolling back up. I'm making sure I get all the questions. Um, I feel like I missed some. No, I think I think I got them all. Yeah, people weighing packs often sell packs as unweighed. It's pathetic. I have been weighing packs for over 10 years. Every single pack I weighed was sold as light, guaranteed no hollows. There are reasonable applications for light packs in the hobby. There are people that want to collect one of every sealed artwork booster pack. And I provided that to them in a cheaper format than buying an unweighed pack or whatever. And every heavy pack that I sold as heavy, and I put my name, my word behind it, guaranteed hollow. If you rip it in front of me, I can't guarantee it if you take it away and if you want it shipped sealed, like you could swap packs or whatever. But at conventions, on live streams, I've always sold heavy packs as a guaranteed hollow. And if you don't pull a hollow, you get all your money back. So yeah, that's the way that I do business. Trying to catch up and make sure I will what's Dan's 10 commandments for Poke vesting? I don't know. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. There's 3 of them. Don't infringe on others' right to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. No, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You're allowed life, not just the pursuit of life. I think that's enough of them. That's not 10, but don't be an a-hole. Would you receive more ROI if you were to sell your sealed product on eBay yourself versus have it consigned with Probstein or DC Sports? I don't have a promotion. I don't have a contractual rate with eBay. I pay 12% up to 2,500. So if I sell an item for $1,000, I net $880 on my own eBay. I will net $960 on DC Sports. I will net $950 on Probstein. So I get more money for doing less work. That is why I consign my sealed product. What's good, Dan? How heavy are your bags looking to get if sealed starts going below MSRP? If sealed starts going below MSRP, it will be Phantasmal. It will be Mega. It will be Destined. It will be Journey. It will be Prismatic. It will be these newer sets that haven't been under MSRP yet. My bags are not very, I mean, I have $100,000+ worth of that stuff because I need it for the live streams. That's just the inventory I have to carry to make sure PK and Ponga stay in stock. But like, I don't have them in my pallets. I don't have a stock deep. So my bags are pretty light overall. It was a man-in-the-middle attack capturing traffic on the site and replicating activity to an unauthorized party. Basically, again, I'm not a tech guy, but the way that I understand it is that there were things exposed on the website Snype that you could engage with Snype as if you were an admin, and you could see data that you shouldn't see unless you were an admin. So like permissions were all messed up somewhere Pokemon Flying Master broke it down almost like an explain like I'm 5. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna do it. Just to explain to normies what this security issue is about, all websites contain endpoints to request data from the database. Your browser needs to draw the web page. It's given instructions in the form of code, HTML, CSS, on how to draw things, but not what to draw. For example, the CSS, which is a style guide on E4, says to draw all avatars with rounded corners. The CSS doesn't know what the images are or where to look for them. It just tells the browser when you get avatar images, round the borders. So there's an endpoint where your browser connects to E4 and asks, give me the avatar images. The database returns a message telling your browser the URL to my avatar. And there's the URL to his avatar. There are endpoints for basically everything you see on the page. For example, when I go to look at my badges page, the browser asks the database for a list of badges I have. Boom, there's the raw result of the endpoints, blah, blah, blah. Keys are blue, values are green / pink here. There's HTML and CSS. So basically, the endpoints for everything existed on Snype, including your email, IP address, etc. The database has to know who is allowed to see that and who is not, but everyone was allowed to see everything. So it's like basic website design things weren't being taken into account. I don't know what that means, but like, yeah. Does top eBay sellers get a discount solely based on their sheer volume of sales? eBay does contracted rates to people based on a multitude of factors, of which I don't entirely know. I've never had a contract to sell on eBay proper like that. We're getting to the point where questions became more sparse. If you have a question, I will answer. Leave it in the comments and I will get to it. Am I the only person that thinks Probstein is right and is being framed by big evil corporate eBay? That would be wild, but like tinfoil hats. I've seen some tinfoil hats around, and I've seen some wild theories on what's going on. It's like, I have no clue. No clue. The questions and accusations you are getting about the things you mentioned about Snype make me understand why Scott went Patreon only. Yes, I understand it for sure. Did you receive the PDF about the Snype platform? I came across the video where someone walked through the document and included a lot of information about Snype. No. You don't trust him to mail them back, but you trust him to sell them for you. He has them already. So it's like, whether or not I trust him, clearly I trusted him to consign his things with me originally on eBay. And he's doing what he's done for me all year. He's selling the remaining $40,000 of nearly $500,000 of things I sent to him. So I'm going to let him sell what he has. And yeah, that's where I'm at. If you were going to scam, I'm never going to scam. So this is an invalid hypothetical because it's never going to happen. Would you use a name like Honey Buns linked to somebody you know? It's a silly question, but it is wild. It is wild, some of the things that were included in that information. Gotta respect taking these hard-hitting questions. I go live every other week on my YouTube channel, and I answer every question that's asked. I'm also live every other week in between my solo live streams. I'm live with my friend Nick, Old School Pokemon. We are live on what we call Pokeflips. eBay needs to vet buyers better. I have been scammed by their 100% buyer protection. I have also caught buyers trying to scam, but I cancel orders when I find sketchy info. I think eBay could be, all of them could be better. I don't want to single out eBay. I think every platform could be a little bit better. There's pros and cons to each and every platform. And again, do your own due diligence and choose who you're going to do business with wisely. I do always fill up, well, I do almost always fill up the car with gas when I'm done using it. Yeah, I hope if the alleged things are true in the E4 original post, that is bad. That is very bad. And I hope justice is served. I hope he's investigated, and if and when those alleged things are true, I hope whoever needs to go to jail goes to jail. Yeah, absolutely. It is easy for me to say that. Because yeah, I don't like that my data was I don't like that I'm having to do this live stream. I don't like that I had to make that video Monday. I don't like the situation I was put in, having trusted him and then having had people trust me that use the site and had their data leaked, and I don't like any of this. So absolutely, if anything bad went on, and I don't know what the punishments are for leaking consumer data, but whatever they are, I hope Probstein and Snype, and I hope they feel the full force of whatever they're supposed to feel for having not handled our data correctly, negligently. So we're at the point where I was trying to search on eBay without a certain seller being shown. It is a cool thing. 99.5 positive feedback. Good golly gosh. Pokemon card market more or less popular if we had no cell phones and computers? Like, would it have survived if we only have TVs? It boomed pretty hard in 99. I think it would be around today. I think it would be less popular though, but it would still be around, I think. Brad is my official #1 hater. So from the official #1 hater himself, Dan is your top hater. We will let this one pass. Next time you're canceled though. So he is the official Catch 'em All Collectibles Hater Club spokesperson. And I'm allowed to pass here. I live pretty close to DC Sports 87. Do you think they'll allow me to drop off a consignment in person? Or would that be a strange thing to ask? I mean, I would ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? Shoot your shot. Worst case you miss and they say you have to ship it, but like I have no idea. I have no clue whatsoever. I think certain grading card companies allow submissions to be dropped off in person and certain ones don't. Certain businesses allow pickup, certain businesses don't. So yeah, just ask them through their customer support channels and then do whatever they whatever they want. Whatever they'll allow, I guess. Chase is so here's a negative anecdote about Chase. We'll never give them our business. They shut down our Pokemon business account and held 30K for 3 weeks because we deposited too much cash. Like, no crap. I vend every weekend. Yeah, again, I'm hearing a negative anecdote by Donnie Slabs, and I trust that this actually happened to him. But like, I'm not gonna cease business with Chase because Donnie Slabs had this negative interaction. I'm sure if I dug deep enough, I can find a negative interaction with Bank of America, with Wells Fargo, with Discover, with every national bank. There's probably been an anecdote here or there where someone had a very bad time. But yeah, I did my own due diligence to some extent, and I chose Chase. They work for me so far. Very frustrating. If you're in Discord with me, you will know how many interactions I've had with Chase that I don't enjoy. But I have a meeting scheduled with Chase for Tuesday. Tuesday morning, I believe. I will be meeting with them and hopefully resolving the payment issues that I have gone through. Learned about the Snype news from you first. Also have like 8K of stuff with Rick. What a crap show. Yes, it is unfortunate. If the 30th anniversary set releases with modern adaptations of retro cards like the 25th did, Delta Gold Stars, Light Pokemon, etc., then which retro remake style would you want most? So we talked about this a little bit in Pokeflips last week. We talked about how I think I would like them to finish out the ones that they missed. So the 21st, they missed Crystal Pokemon from Skyridge and Aquapolis. They missed Legend Pokemon from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. They missed Break Pokemon from the XY era. Everyone's favorites. I think it would be cool if they like rounded out all the ones that they missed and then did a couple, like did a unique one. Did a unique one. But yeah, I don't know. Just my quick thoughts. I answer most questions, but I guess to be fair, not every single one. Yeah, and again, like I am not a tech guy, but I think I know enough about tech that if I were building a website that would handle customer data in that way, I would hire 2 people at minimum. The core basic requirement for me to do that, I would hire one person who I consulted with industry experts and whatever. I would hire one person who is a developer, a good developer who can code and design all that stuff. And then the second person I would hire like what they call them, like green, isn't it like a green hat hacker? Isn't that a thing? Am I making that up or is that a thing? Green hat hacker. It is a thing. So a green hat hacker is a novice in hacking who is still learning the skills needed to perform the attacks. But I would hire somebody who's like on my team, who's on my side to like hack that guy's work and make sure that it's not going to be hacked by someone else. Is it a white hat hacker? A white hacker? White hat hacker? I feel like there's a hat involved. Yes, an ethical hacker. That's the one. A white hat hacker or ethical hacker is a cybersecurity professional who uses their skills to find and fix security vulnerabilities in computer systems with permission. So I would make sure I have one of those. I would have an ethical hacker who is trying to vet my coders' work and make sure that like we're not gonna get screwed. Have sales slowed down for you in the past 30 days? If so, what's the delta in percentage? I have a lot of sales channels. So one, sales slowed down for me significantly. I had been selling in the past few months. I have been selling nearly $50,000 a month. So I mentioned I can sign with Probstein $400,000-ish worth of stuff. On top of that, I've consigned tens of thousands of dollars with Sealed Shits consignments. I've consigned thousands of dollars with DC Sports. I've consigned $500,000+ this year. Disproportionately more in the past 2 months. I might have been on pace to consign sell $100,000 worth of stuff in November. But Probstein went and built another website and he broke it and everything was a mess. So my sales are down a lot in the past 30 days because Probstein effed up Snype. So like that has nothing to do with the market. Fanatics Live, sales are down a little bit. eBay Live, sales are up. I've had more people selling in the past 30 days than the 30 days prior. So it's like, I'm always the guy who will give you all the nuance, all the disclaimers, all the context. Sales overall are slightly down, but it's more to do with lacking one of my major outlets. So yeah. Yeah, Probstein had been a great place for me to sell a lot of stuff, but I'm going to sell it on DC Sports or somewhere else. Wanting to hang up a Uline slat wall on one of my walls to show off some Pokemon sealed, but man is it stressful not knowing for sure if you'll drill into a live wire or a pipe. I mean, you use a stud finder, find a stud. If people were following code and you don't use obscenely long screws, right? This is not contracting advice. I'm not a professional contractor, but I think as long as you use like normal length fasteners, and as long as code was followed when your building was built, which might be a big leap, that might not be the case, you should not drill into any pipe or wire. But like again, that is not safety advice. That is not like codes advice or anything. Appreciate you, Almost Meta, for the 5 gifted memberships. We're gonna see that nice lawnmower mowing the lawn. I don't know anything about Pokemon except Charizard because my little dumb nephew. I'll teach you a little bit more about Pokemon. You ready? So this is Red and Charizard. This is Cynthia and Garchomp. This is Blue and Blastoise. This is Pikachu. This is Dragonite. This is Lance. This is Charmander, Lugia, Ninetales, and so on. I can't even make out all the Pokemon behind me. What is that one? Torterra? Torterra, I believe. And then Trubbish and Sudowoodo and Umbreon. So there's a few more Pokemon that you now know. because of your dumb YouTuber Catch 'em all collectibles. White white hat hacking, red team is the term you're looking for. And presumably if Probstein had hired or consulted with a white hat hacker, presumably the endpoints and the SSLs and the XYZs and all the fancy acronyms, presumably that would have been caught, right? What a run for Snype, yeah. Actually, radar, sorry, I'm spilling the DM. So I posted the story saying like, hey, Snype is down, Snype is dead, Snype is done. Radar replied like, hey, that was shorter than my podcast tenure. So he got a little bit of a self-own there. But like, yeah, Radar is a friend that is notorious for starting podcasts and then being done with them very quickly. But Snype lasted even less than Radar's shortest podcast, sadly. And I see that I'm almost caught up with chat. If people want to keep going, like ideally, I think we've covered Snype. The horse is dead. Ideally, let's stop beating it. If people have other questions outside of Snype, outside of Probstein, I will answer them as well. So, yeah. Normally, I'm live for 2 hours every other week, and we talk about the market and we talk about Pokemon and other things. But like naturally, something this big happens, it's gonna take up a lot of it, which is reasonable. Have you found that supply has been catching up better to demand? The drop in Mega Evolution so far makes me think that it'll definitely be at MSRP soon. Surging Sparks is already nearly at MSRP. I've been saying it all year. I think every set that has not been available under MSRP will get there. I think packs, maybe not boxes, maybe not ETBs. I think packs of Prismatic will be widely available under MSRP at some point. I think packs of Journey, packs of Destined, packs of Black and White, packs of, let's see if I can remember every set, Mega Evolution, Phantasmal Flames. I think every set, historically, I know, objectively, every set in Pokemon's history has been widely available under MSRP prior to Prismatic Evolutions. I think the printers will win eventually. The printers will win. Surging Sparks, as I speak, is $5.90 a pack. I think it will go sub $4.50 a pack. I'm paying $4.50 a pack right now because I'm buying it at, why am I buying it 75%? I need to lower that. I need to lower Surging Sparks to 70% because I bought so much this week. But yeah, I truly, I've been saying it all year. I think it will come true for every set, as it has historically. The printers will win. Supposedly 1.5 inch is the key, and I'm using 1.25 inch drywall screws to hopefully be safe. As always, I'm so glad to see you are doing well, Dan, as well as our awesome community that we have here. With Thanksgiving coming up, I just want to say I truly wish us all a peaceful time. Yeah, it is unfortunate the terms at which I am coming to everyone today, having to talk about this mess that I was involved in. But I'm definitely thankful for what we have here. Getting a little sappy now towards the end of the live stream. I'm thankful for all we have here, the hobby as a whole, the community that has come together here and follows my live streams. I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving and a happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate. I'm very much looking forward to time with friends and family over the holidays. I think I'm fully, yeah, I just got to the bottom of chat. So if anyone has any pressing final question, I will take it. I will go a little bit longer. I did just hit midnight Eastern time. We have been going for 2.5 hours, and I got through every question. If I missed yours, drop it at the bottom of chat. I'm sat here at the bottom of chat waiting. But yeah, if this is going to be the end of it, I appreciate everyone being here. Not on the best terms, but we will continue as a hobby. We will get through this. Seems like that is going to be it. So with that, as always,